In this video, we'll demonstrate how AlarmTraq receives alarms from Nortel, Meridian 1, and CS1000 switches using the Teltronic Site Event Buffer, or SEB. Our first step is we're going to go ahead and configure a modem to receive alarms from the SEB. So I'll open up my system-wide options, and I'm going to need to designate a modem to receive these SEB alarms. In this case, I'm going to be using port 7 on COM1. My port is set up for 2400 baud, non-81, and I've got a slightly unique initialization string. I'm using a US Robotics external modem, and I've got error correction turned off. Caller ID is turned on. Once that's set, I'll click OK. I'll make sure my port 7 looks like it's ready, and it is. And by clicking on the label here, I can bring up my terminal view, and I can see the reset and the initialization string has already been set. Our next step, we'll initiate a call from the SEB to AlarmTraq and send the alarm. No setup is required on the AlarmTraq side until the alarm's been received. Then it can be classified in the site profile database for future alarms coming in from that particular SEB. So we'll go ahead and wait for an alarm to come in. We see the port ringing. Click over on port 7, watch it come in. Connect 2400. And the SEB will send several lines of information that's required for AlarmTraq. The port is now disconnected, and AlarmTraq has registered the alarm. We can see the information that was sent by the SEB by scrolling up a little bit and noticing the lines. The same information is also available if you go into the the logs directory and scroll under by date modified. That's the easiest way. You'll see in this case a file called SL81 with the correct date and time. If we open that file, we'll see the information that was sent by the switch. An identifier, the SEB2 with the version number, time and date. Then the site ID. This site ID is very important in identifying each of the SEB units that will be calling in. This site ID will be entered into AlarmTraq as the alternate product ID. AlarmTraq is based on a 10-digit product ID that always starts with the digit 8 in the case of the Nortel switches. And then the remaining digits, as long as they're unique, anything can be decided. But the alternate product ID has to match that. We also have the time and date the alarm was issued by the switch and sent to the SEB, and then an identifying line, which could be a note or just a site name, but most importantly we have our alarm. In this case it's a CIS4423 alarm, and then the line disconnects. So if we go into AlarmTraq, we'll see that this site profile has already been populated. If I go to Site Profiles, scroll down to TechTel, you'll see AlarmTraq automatically populated the database. It added a 10-digit product ID, which in this case is 8 plus the first 9 digits of the telephone number that was identified by the caller ID. But most importantly, the product ID has to match what the SEB unit is sending. Once this site profile has been created, you can go ahead and edit it with anything you like. A more common name. TechTel Communications, LLC. Click Apply, and OK. Now the next time an alarm comes in from that particular SEB, it'll identify itself with the correct name and product ID. The product ID has to be unique, has to start with the digit 8. Makes no difference what it is. You can have any digits in there. Another alarm to come in from that switch, and make sure that it identifies the site name correctly and takes the correct notification plan. Here comes an inbound call now. Connect 2400. Then the SEB will send the information, which in this case it just did. The modem will disconnect, and then the alarm is generated. And as we see up here, not only is the alarm entered into the database, it is using the correct site name, correct product ID. We won't see the SEB name anywhere here. Everything from here on in is reflected in the site name and the product ID, and it's been entered into our database.